The house is quiet, the kind of quiet that makes the hairs on your arms stand up. That's how my night started. It was a Friday. My parents went to some party far away, and my older sister was at her friend's house. Just me, all alone in our big, creaky house in VI. I was excited at first. Pizza, cartoons, the whole shebang. I ordered my pizza and settled on the couch. The sun went down, and the streetlights outside started to glow. That's when the first weird thing happened. I heard a tap. Not a loud knock, just a soft tap on the living room window. I looked out. Nothing. Maybe it was a branch. But there wasn't a tree close enough. I shrugged it off. The pizza came, and I felt better with a full stomach. I was watching a funny cartoon when I heard it again. This time, it was louder. Tap. Tap. Right outside the window. I froze, my pizza halfway to my mouth. I slowly got up and peeked through the curtains. Still nothing. Just the empty street and the shadows of the houses across the road. I started feeling uneasy. I locked all the doors and windows, even the ones upstairs. I went back to the couch, but I couldn't relax. Every little sound made me jump. The wind rustling the leaves outside, the fridge humming, even the ticking of the clock felt loud and strange. Then, I heard it inside the house. A soft creaking sound from upstairs. My heart started to pound. My parents and sister weren't home. Who could be upstairs? I told myself it was just the house settling, but it didn't sound like that. It sounded like someone was walking. Slowly. I grabbed the remote control, my hands shaking. I muted the TV and listened. The creaking stopped. I held my breath, waiting. Then, I heard it again. A floorboard upstairs groaned. It was definitely someone walking. Fear flooded me. I thought about calling my parents, but they were too far away. My sister? Her phone might be off. I was completely alone. I tiptoed to the bottom of the stairs and looked up. It was dark, but I thought I saw a shadow move at the top. Just for a second. My breath hitched in my throat. I backed away slowly, my eyes glued to the top of the stairs. Then, I heard a whisper. It was faint, but I definitely heard it. It sounded like it was coming from the top of the stairs. I couldn't make out what it said, but it sent a shiver down my spine. I ran. I didn't think, I just ran to the front door, fumbled with the locks, and burst outside. The cool night air hit my face, and I gasped for breath. I looked back at the house. It looked normal, innocent. But I knew what I heard. I knew what I felt. I ran down the street to my neighbor's house and banged on their door until they opened. I was crying and shaking as I told them what happened. They were kind and let me stay with them until my parents came home the next day. Even now, years later, I still get chills thinking about that night. The tapping on the window, the creaking upstairs, the whisper in the dark. I never found out what it was. Maybe it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet, I still hear a soft tap and I remember that scary night I was home alone. And I know, deep down, that it wasn't just the house settling. Something else was there. Something scary. Okay, here I go. The old grandfather clock in the hallway hadn't chimed in years, you know. So, when I was in the living room, just chilling while Mom was out getting groceries, I heard this deep bong. It really startled me. It was definitely the grandfather clock. The one everyone said was totally broken. I got up real slow and peeked into the hallway. The clock was just standing there, tall and dark, all silent again. I kind of shrugged it off, thinking maybe I just imagined it. But then, a few minutes later, I heard it again. Bong. This time, I was totally sure. I muted the TV and just listened. Nothing else. Just the normal hum of the fridge. I tried to tell myself it was just the house making noises, settling or something, and it just happened to sound like a chime. But I started feeling a little weirded out. I decided to go grab some chips from the kitchen. As I walked past the grandfather clock, I just glanced at its face, like you do. And that's when I saw it. The long, fancy hands were moving. Really slowly, but they were definitely going. They were pointing to 3 o'clock. But it was way past 6, almost 7. My heart started thumping a little faster in my chest. I knew that clock was broken. I remember Dad trying to fix it ages ago and giving up. I grabbed my chips and practically ran back to the living room. I kept looking towards the hallway, though. Every few minutes, I thought I could hear this really faint ticking sound coming from the clock. It was a sound I'd never heard from it before. I tried to watch my show, but I just couldn't concentrate. I kept thinking about those hands moving on the clock, pointing to the wrong time. It just felt wrong. Then, suddenly, the lights flickered. And then, bam! Everything went black. The power went out. I gasped. That never happens here. I fumbled in my pocket for my phone, and when I turned it on, the screen lit up my face in the dark. But then I could hear the grandfather clock ticking louder now, even with the power out. And then, bong! 4 times. The hands had moved again. I felt this cold shiver go down my spine. I really don't like the dark, and that clock was seriously creeping me out. I decided to call Mom on my phone. I unlocked it and went to her contact, but then the screen just went blank. No battery. I totally forgot to charge it last night. So there I was, all alone in the pitch black, with just the faint ticking of that creepy clock and the occasional bong echoing through the quiet house. I could hear myself breathing, all fast and shaky. I just kept wishing Mom would hurry home. I decided to just stay put on the sofa and pulled a blanket around myself. I kept my eyes glued to the hallway, where I could just make out the shape of the grandfather clock in the dark. And then, I saw it. A really faint light was coming from inside the clock. It was this soft, yellowish glow, kind of lighting up the fancy wood carvings. I just stared, my mouth hanging open a little. What in the world was happening? And then I heard another sound. Not a bong, not a tick. It was this soft, almost like music, humming sound, coming from inside the clock with the light. I was totally terrified. I wanted to run, but my legs felt all heavy and wobbly. I just sat there, wrapped in my blanket, watching that weird light and listening to that spooky humming coming from the grandfather clock. The humming got a little louder, and the light inside the clock seemed to kind of pulse, like a heartbeat. I squeezed my eyes shut, just wishing, hoping with all my might, that I'd hear Mom's keys in the door any second. And then, I did. I heard the jingle of keys. The front door opened, and light just poured into the living room. Liam. I'm back. Mom's voice sounded so normal, so safe. I practically flew off the sofa and ran to her, giving her the biggest hug ever. Mom. The clock, it's making noises, and there's a light inside. Mom looked all confused. The grandfather clock. But honey, it's broken. I pulled her into the hallway. The grandfather clock was just standing there, all silent and dark. The hands were still pointing to 4 o'clock. Mom even opened the little glass door and looked inside. It was just dusty and empty. Definitely not working. But I know what I saw and heard. And every time I look at that old grandfather clock now, I still get this creepy feeling, like it's just waiting for something, or someone. The floorboards upstairs creaked, but everyone else was downstairs watching TV with me. It was a Friday night, and my parents and little brother were all in the living room. I was about 15 at the time. We were watching a movie, and it was pretty loud, so at first, I didn't really notice it. But then, between the explosions and talking on the screen, I heard it again. A distinct creak from the hallway upstairs, right outside my bedroom. I paused the movie. Did you guys hear that? My dad looked at me, a little annoyed. Hear what, honey? The movie's getting good. No, upstairs. It sounded like someone walking around. My mom frowned. That's strange. I thought we were all down here. My little brother just shrugged, his eyes glued to the screen. My dad got up. Probably just the house settling. It's an old place, you know. He went to the bottom of the stairs and called up, "Hello? Anyone up there?" Silence. He came back, shaking his head. See? Nothing. Let's just finish the movie. But I couldn't shake the feeling. I knew what I heard. And as the movie played on, I kept listening. Every now and then, I'd catch another faint creak, always from the same spot outside my room. After the movie, my parents went to bed. My brother went to his room, which was also downstairs. I was the only one who slept upstairs. I tried to tell myself it was just the house, like Dad said. But as I lay in bed, the house felt different, quiet and listening. Then, I heard it again, clearer this time. A slow, deliberate thump from the hallway. Like someone had dropped something. My heart started to race. I pulled the covers up to my chin and held my breath. I strained my ears, listening for anything else. Silence for a long time. Then, a soft shuffle sound, like someone was dragging their feet. It was definitely in the hallway, just a few feet from my door. I was so scared I couldn't move. My mind was racing. Could someone have broken in? But the doors were locked. We always checked. The shuffling stopped right outside my door. I could practically feel someone standing there. I squeezed my eyes shut, wishing my parents were still awake. Then, a very slow, quiet turn of the doorknob. Click. My eyes flew open. The door was still closed, but I had definitely heard the click. Someone was trying to get into my room. I didn't make a sound. I just lay there, frozen with fear. After a few seconds that felt like forever, the doorknob slowly turned back. Click. Silence again. I lay there for what felt like hours, not daring to move, not even to breathe properly. I kept listening, but I didn't hear anything else. Eventually, exhaustion took over, and I must have drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I told my parents everything. They looked worried, but they checked all the doors and windows, and everything was locked. They couldn't find any signs of anyone being inside. They said it was probably just a dream, or maybe the wind playing tricks. But I know what I heard. I know that doorknob clicked. And even now, years later, whenever I'm home alone at night, I still think about that night and the feeling of someone standing outside my door. It still gives me the creeps.